everyone. This is Compass, navigating legal studies for your mission. This video is for a legal essay practice. Today's topic is content-based restriction and content-neutral restrictions. Problem. The town of Greenfield has experienced an increase in the installation of electronic advertising billboards and scrolling message boards throughout the city. These signs range from promotional advertisements for local business to public service announcement, event advertisements, and political campaign messages. Many of these signs utilize flashing lights, rapidly changing colors, and animated graphics to attract attention. In response to citizen complaints about the visual disruption and concerns over traffic safety, the Greenfield City Council passed an ordinance stating no signal placed on public or private property within Greenfield shall contain animated images, rapidly changing lights, or text that scrolls electronically. Exceptions are made for signs providing emergency alerts or public safety information issued by a government agency. The ordinance is accompanied by a statement of purpose, indicating that it aims to ensure public safety by reducing distractions for drivers and to preserve Greenfield's aesthetic character. The City Council relied on research presented by a traffic safety expert showing that animated and scrolling signs lead to higher rates of vehicle accidents on roads with speed limits above 25 miles per hour. However, the studies noted no significant increase in accidents on roads with speed limits below 25 miles per hour. A local business owner, Bright Ads Corporation, which specializes in electronic advertising, challenges the ordinance, arguing that it violates the First Amendment guarantee of free speech. Questions. 1. Is the Greenfield Ordinance a content-based regulation of speech or a content-neutral regulation of speech? 2. Assuming that the ordinance is content-based, is it constitutional? 3. Assuming that the ordinance is content-neutral, is it constitutional? 1. Does the Greenfield Ordinance regulate speech based on its content or apply content-neutral criteria? A regulation is content-based if it distinguishes speech based on its subject matter or viewpoint. A content-neutral regulation applies without regard to the message conveyed and typically focuses on the time, place, or manner of speech. Here, the ordinance restricts animated images, rapidly changing lights, and scrolling text regardless of the message conveyed. It does not differentiate based on the content of the speech, but rather on the manner of its presentation. The exception for emergency alerts pertains to public safety, not the content itself, and thus does not render the regulation content-based. Therefore, the ordinance is content-neutral regulation of speech. 2. Does the ordinance satisfy the strict scrutiny standard required for content-based regulations. Under strict scrutiny, a content-based regulation of speech must serve a compelling governmental interest and be narrowly tailored to achieve that interest using the least restrictive means. If less restrictive alternatives are available, the regulation will fail. Here, the ordinance seeks to promote traffic safety and preserve aesthetic beauty, which are significant governmental interests, but may not rise to the level of compelling interest. Even if traffic safety is considered compelling, the ordinance is not narrowly tailored. Studies show that distracting signs primarily affect safety on roads with speed limits over 30 miles per hour. However, the ordinance applies broadly to all roads in the city, including residential and low-speed zones, where the safety threat is minimal. This overbreadth suggests that less restrictive measures, such as limiting the prohibition to high-speed roads, could achieve the same purpose without unnecessarily restricting speech in areas where the signs do not pose a significant threat. Therefore, the ordinance fails strict scrutiny because it is not narrowly tailored to serve a compelling governmental interest. 2. Does the ordinance satisfy the intermediate scrutiny standard required for content-neutral regulations? Under intermediate scrutiny, a content-neutral regulations must serve a significant governmental interest, be narrowly tailored to achieve that interest, and leave open ample alternative channels of communication. Narrow tailoring under intermediate scrutiny does not require the least restrictive means, but prohibits regulations that are substantially broader than necessary. Here, the ordinance serves significant governmental interest in promoting traffic safety and preserving aesthetic beauty. By restricting only signs with flashing lights, color changes, or scrolling messages, it addresses the most distracting features that studies show increase accidents on high-speed roads. Although the ordinance applies to all roads, including areas where the safety threat is smaller, intermediate scrutiny does not demand that the government use the least restrictive means. Moreover, the ordinance leaves open ample alternative channels for communication, as signs can still display messages in static formats. Therefore, the ordinance satisfies intermediate scrutiny because it is narrowly tailored to serve significant governmental interests and does not necessarily restrict speech. These are the key rules of today's topic. For content-based regulations, strict scrutiny is applied. This standard requires that the regulations serve a compelling governmental interest and that it should be narrowly tailored to achieve that interest using the least restrictive means. If a less restrictive alternative exists that can achieve the same purpose, the regulation will fail. For content-neutral regulations, intermediate scrutiny is used. Under this standard, the regulation must serve a significant governmental interest, be narrowly tailored to achieve that interest, and leave open ample alternative channels of communication. Narrow tailoring under intermediate scrutiny does not require the least restrictive means, but does require that the regulation not be substantially broader than necessary to address the problem. In applying these rules, strict scrutiny demands a higher level of justification, ensuring the government's actions are essential and minimally invasive to achieve a compelling goals. In contrast, intermediate scrutiny is more lenient, allowing broader regulations if they reasonably align with the governmental interest and do not unduly limit other forms of expression. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. God bless you.